Yo, 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 what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Moving. I'm moving.
Moving and shaking?
Moving.
Or moving and grooving?
Moving.
Moving on
I'm doing all right.
up to the east side. Mrs. Weedman's finally got a piece of the pie. Hey, all you burner stoners and potters out there. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. And Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal. Mrs. Weedman, light that joint up. And I was doing an event on Friday. And I met these growers. Their name are Lady Buds, B-U-D-Z, and they gave me a pre-roll. And I said I'd love to smoke it because I gave them one of my home-grow pre-rolls, and they gave me one of theirs, and they're professional growers, and they said I'd really like it. But the only thing bad about this is I have no information. I don't even know what the name of the strain is.
It smells good.
It smells great. And I saved it for the show. I couldn't wait to smoke it on the show. So, Lady Buds, I'm going to show you a card. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the strain. We'll give you a tag and let people know where to find you at. But we appreciate the joint, and we're looking forward to smoking it.
I wish everybody could see this. Maybe it's sending me a message to smile. You see the little smiley face? I wish everyone could see it. It lit like a little smiley face.
There you go. There you go. So I have no idea what this is. So, but I'll talk about where we met him, where I met him. So last Friday, I did an event actually by myself that was quite lonely. I didn't
you had company.
I did have company, but Mrs. Weedman was on doing another event, a meet and greet kind of event. Wow, that does smell really good.
Yeah.
And it was what was the name of the event I did? Bazaar and Bangers, and it was run by Xochi, right? And it was a really, really cool event.
Yes, yes.
It was a bunch of vendors. It started at like 6:30 and it went till 2 a.m. I left about 1. Mr. Weedman was high and needed to get home. And but phenomenal venue. It was a cool building inside. It was probably about 15 vendors there. 3 awesome DJs that were just banging old school Chicago house, hip hop, some music I'd never heard of. It was just a cool event. I probably stuffed about 50, 60 joints. And I had a friend with me, too, that came and hung out. Javi. Thanks, Javi.
Yes.
I appreciate you for coming and hanging out with me and keep me company the whole time and help me run the table and stuff. I didn't have my partner in crime, Mrs. Weedman, to talk about 8 decades while I would stuff joints and talk about the strains I was stuffing. But Javi did a great job.
Yeah.
He was
Javi's in the business.
Yes.
So Javi understands everything about weed. So just like a good person to connect with. Super nice guy.
Knows everybody.
Yeah.
He's been around in the industry a long time. Ooh.
It's tasty.
Very tasty.
It's tasty.
They did say I'd like it. So very nice. Thank you, Lady Buds. But it was a fun event. Supporting these events in the Chicago cannabis scene and the Illinois cannabis scene with all these cool events that have been popping up everywhere. You said it, I don't know, not too long ago, this is going to be the year of cool events. And with this event, I hope it succeeds, and I hope they keep on using the same venue because it was so cool. Met a phenomenal hash maker there. I can't remember their names, unfortunately, but their hash was, oh my gosh, so good. MMJ Regulators was there. We see him at all the events. He's such a cool dude, and he had his little hash smoke area sessions, which was cool. And it was a bunch of awesome vendors there. Just got to meet some people. Everybody walked by our table. I was given little mini doinks too, and it was just an awesome scene to see people just smoking and having a good time. I loved it. So, and then we have something coming up this Saturday, don't we?
Yeah, should I share where I was at on Saturday night?
Share where you were at. You want to tell this story? This is a good one.
This is pretty funny. I think it needs to be shared. So I had planned a ladies' night with a couple other women that are in the business. And so we were going to a soft launch for a new brand, a female Latino-owned brand that was starting up in Chicago, or is starting up in Chicago. So she was having this soft launch party, but some things got misconstrued with instructions at the party. Anyway, we never connected with the party. So the three of us, me and the other two girls that was out with, we just hung out and talked shop and had a couple cocktails, went outside and smoked a joint on our way to the car. We were parked in separate parking garages. And we stopped because there was I don't know what type of sports car it was. I think maybe it was a new Corvette, and it was in a wrap. It was wrapped in this powder blue background, graphic design with kind of like these little emoji characters all over it, like they're floating through the air. And then there was like bold yellow at the bottom. The hood of the car was like carbon, like that silver carbon textured finish. And it was an interesting car. Vanity plates. So we're like, I wonder who this is. And I had seen the guy get out of the car when I was going to the party. Now we're standing by the car. And I turn and look. Now we are in like River North, which is a very young, very busy section of like kind of downtown, not like the offshoot kind of neighborhoods. And so this area you're still kind of like on the cusp of the office district kind of area, if there is that per se, right? Like kind of. Anyway, it's a lot of businesses. It's a lot of bars. It's a lot of restaurants. There's hotels and there's businesses. Like there's a high-rise offices. And then lots of it's a very dense area. And the whole street is covered with people. It's like, 20s and 30-year-olds all over the place. And we're standing by this car in front of a very nice restaurant, and we're smoking a joint on the street, and we're watching people drive by, and everyone who drives by has to stop and look at this car because it's so eye-catching, and we're pretending like it's ours. I'm like, it's my car. You like it? You like it? We're just goofing around. And then I look, because I'm now facing like the buildings, and I'm like, wait a minute. What am I looking at right now? So, you're in the city. You've got high rises. You might have a 50-story building and then a 10-story building, and then you might have another 50, and then you might have a 1-story building. This was a 1-story building sandwiched in between all of these big businesses, and it was just kind of obscure. It was just like a stucco front building with one little window that was maybe like 3 foot by 2 foot and a door, both of which said, you must be 21 to enter, like X-rated videos and things of that nature, right? So I was like, come on, you've got to be kidding me. Like a place like this still exists in this part of the city? I don't believe it. Like this is like prime real estate and it's only 1 story. How did someone not buy this building, like buy this business out, have them move kind of thing? So I don't believe it. I'm like, I don't believe it. What if that is the best speakeasy inside? And we go home tonight and we missed it. I'm like, I think we need to go in there and make sure that we're not missing the fun. So we open the door and I'm expecting it to be like dark and like mysterious inside. Oh no, it was like shiny, bright. Hi, you're in a sex shop.
Oh, that's right.
It really was a sex shop. So we go in and there's like kind of a center aisle. The cashier is up front, kind of on an elevated platform behind like a big desk and lots of papers and things. And then one side of the store is just stacked to the ceiling with videos. The other side of the store is stacked. Every hook is shiny and clean and organized. Like nobody's buying anything because they're going straight to the back to the store. But the right side was all sex toys. And then at the back of the store, there were lights above the doorway and it said vacant or not vacant, right? Lit up or not lit up. And there's a sign that says women are not allowed. Do not enter. And then there's a series of like Sharpie on kind of a spreadsheet of the movies that are available back in these previewing rooms. So we're like, where are we?
So that's where you
what
went
the
on
heck
Friday
happened? Yeah. So we start engaging in conversation with the guy who's working there, and that was a whole ball of interestingness. I won't even go there. And so then,
what was that person's name though?
He didn't say his name.
No.
No.
You got to describe what he looked like though. You told me what he looked like, and when I was driving home, you kept me.
Well, we couldn't believe that he was 60. He said that he was 60, and we're like, no way. We're all 50. Like we're just on the cusp of 50, or I'm over 50, whatever. We're like right around the same age. We're looking at it. We're like, you're not 60. So I was like, what kind of work have you done? And he was just so offended, like, I don't have any work done. And so we just started this like very lighthearted, fun conversation, but found out or learned a lot about him. He talked with us quite a bit. But he had white hair, like white long hair that was in a ponytail. One of the girls I was with had a pink hat on. He's like, my hair is usually pink like that. I was like, well, what are you waiting for? Like, why is it white right now? Go color it. He's like, takes too long, da, 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 da. But it was just fun. It was fun conversation. It was nice to meet somebody new. But it was at the same time, I'm like, are we going to get like kidnapped? Are we ever going to come out of this place? Where are we? It was like, well, we had just smoked this big ass joint out in front. Yeah. So like, it was starting to get kind of weird feeling. Like, I think someone's going to come out of that back and get us. I think we need to. So we're done having conversation and we scoot out the door and we spill back out on the street. Now we're like in the mix of these 20 and 30-year-olds that are all partying on Friday night. And here are these 3, moms pouring out of the porn shop. I was like, hey, there really is a porn shop in there. It was just the funniest experience. And then we were like, okay, bye. And we all went to our cars and had a good laugh about it.
That's a good one.
Oh, my God. It was so funny. We were so high.
Yeah, you told me you had just smoked.
And we couldn't actually get in our cars and drive. So, I mean, let's kill some time. Go in and see what's in there.
So you went and watched the Peep Show.
Well, we really thought it was going to be a bar, like a club of some sort inside there.
It was a true...
Thought it was just like a front. No, it's not.
What do we got going on this Saturday?
This Saturday is the Illinois Rosin Competition.
Yep.
It is the first unofficial official. I think it's just the first.
The first.
So we'll call it the official rosin competition in Illinois.
What?
So there are going to be, I think they had close to like 20 entrants, maybe more, give or take, 5 or 10. And so there's a bunch of different people. I think Made Gallery is a judge. Shanky, Southside Shanky is a judge. Jungle Kai is a judge. No, not Jungle Kai. Anyway, there's a handful of some social media influencers and people in the business, ancillary business, or directly in the cannabis business that are judging it. And there's going to be vendors and DJs, and I think it's going to be a pretty rocking time. It's going to be at the Blue Island Beer Company. There are still tickets available. I suspect that by Friday it will be sold out.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's from 5 to 10 p.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, big day.
Blue Island.
Bring your
rig, bring some whatever. If you have like
bring your long game though.
Bring your long game.
5 to 10 o'clock.
Pace yourself.
Yeah, bring your long game. We'll be there. Come see Mr. Weedman. I'll be rolling joints. Or stuffing joints.
Mrs. Weedman, I will have the 8 Decades spread, and you can buy and fly and go get high.
Buy, fly, and try.
Buy, get high, try, what? Yeah,
and
something like
fly.
that. I lost it. No, you fly.
But you should have fun with it.
Yeah.
So, Ladybuds.
Yeah.
Good weed. I'm stoned.
It's good. I'm pretty high.
I'm like stoned.
Yeah, like I can't.
That's all I can
struggling.
Say.
I'm going to say I'm struggling.
I'm not struggling.
Maybe a little.
I'm stoned.
Yeah.
I've pretty. Ladybuds.
It's good.
Give them a follow.
It's cute.
Thank you for supplying some weed for the show. Because I'm baked and now I got to get the show started. You ready, Mrs. Weedman?
I'm going to try.
I thought this was a cool article. Cannabis extracts found to slow melanoma cell growth and trigger cell death. A new study has found an extract derived from the cannabis sativa plant can inhibit the growth of melanoma cells and trigger cell death. The next step is to develop a targeted delivery system before moving on to preclinical trials and investigating whether the extract can be used to treat other types of cancers. Melanoma might only account for around 6% of skin cancers, but it's the cause of more than 80% of skin cancer deaths. Did you know that?
Melanoma?
Yeah,
yes.
Did you know it caused 80% of the deaths, though?
From skin cancer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's only 6% of people get it,
right.
But 80% die from it.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I did know that.
That was crazy when I read that. And the cancer is prone to metastasizing and has been shown to be highly resistant to traditional treatments. And a new study research from Charles Darwin University and RMIT in Australia developed a non-traditional treatment, a cannabis extract that stops melanoma cells from dividing and triggers the process of programmed cell death. Mm. The damage to the melanoma cell prevents it from dividing into new cells and instead begins a programmed cell death, also known as apoptosis, said Nazim Nazir, a corresponding author of the study. This is a growing area of important research because we need to understand cannabis extracts as much as possible, especially their potential to function as anti-cancer agents. If we know how they react to cancer cells, particularly in the cause of cell death, we can refine treatment techniques to be more specific, responsive, and effective. Previous studies have suggested that certain compounds present in cannabis may have anti-tumor effects by affecting on receptors in an indigenous cannabinoid or endocannabinoid system, the ECS. The cannabinoid receptors CB1, CB2, widely distributed in the central nervous and peripheral immune systems, influence various intercellular signaling pathways that regulate different processes, indulging gene transcription, cell motility, and apoptosis. Man, that was kind of
technical. I'm really high.
Words are hard.
I didn't really hear much of anything you said. Okay.
It's okay.
I was staring at the wall.
At the Pinocchio? In the current study, the research tested the effects of the PHEC-66, an extract derived from cannabis sativa, on the growth of the primary and secondary human melanoma cells. They found that PEC-66 embedded a growth of all melanoma cell lines by interacting with the CB1 and CB2 receptors. They also found that PHEC-66 inhibited the progression of the cell cycle, the series of events that takes place as a cell grows and divides. The sub-G1 and G1 phases were particularly affected. The G1 phase is when the cell prepares to divide by copying all of its DNA. In addition, the research observed by the PEC-66 influenced metabolic pathways by causing an accumulation of reactive oxygen species, ROS, in the melanoma cells, pushing them towards apoptotic signaling pathways while diminishing anti-apoptotic. Man, why do they keep on throwing that word at me? That's like 5 times I've had to say that fucking word. Apoptotic ones. Don't do that to somebody when they're this high. Damn you, ladybuds. Appreciate it, though. All these actions together start the process of apoptosis and slows down the growth of melanoma cells, said the researchers. That's good. The next step is to develop targeted delivery systems to deliver the extract to the melanoma cells in the body so the researchers can proceed the preclinical trials to test PEC-66 safety and efficiency. Advanced delivery systems still need to be fully developed, underscoring the importance of ongoing efforts to ensure the proper and effective use of these agents at target sites, Nazir said. The study findings have the potential to advance treatments not only for melanoma but also for other types of cancer. Clinical uses of cannabis extracts include treatment for anxiety, cancer-related symptoms, epilepsy, chronic pain, said Nazir. Intensive research into the potential for killing melanoma cells is only the start as we investigate how this knowledge can be applied to treating different kinds of cancers. The study was published in the Journal of Cells. That's pretty good. Some recognition, finally. Hey, you know what? It's your turn. But
I can do this.
Wait.
I can do this.
I'm glad we smoked this strain, and I'm so glad we're this high. You want to know why? Because your article is how long a cannabis high actually lasts.
Whoa.
What? What?
How ironic.
How ironic. Because ladybuds, you got us pretty high.
Yeah.
Are you good?
So, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna stand point here. If you ask 50 different people how long the effects of cannabis last, you're likely to get 50 different answers. This can be a problem for figuring out how long a patient using the drug for medicinal purposes is going to remain impaired. A meta-analysis of 80 papers published in 2021 narrowed down this time frame. Depending on factors such as how the cannabis is consumed and how strong it is, the user can remain impaired for between 3 and 10 hours, scientists say. This information can help with advisory information given to patients, help recreational users make better decisions about performing tasks such as driving after consuming cannabis, and help update the laws to better reflect the reality of cannabis impairment. That's key. THC can be detected in the body weeks after cannabis consumption, while it is clear that impairment lasts for a much shorter period of time. Psychopharmacologist Ian McGregor from the University of Sydney in Australia explained in 2021. Our legal framework probably needs to catch up with that, and, as with alcohol, focus on the interval when users are more of a risk to themselves and others. prosecution solely on the basis of presence of THC in blood or saliva is manifestly unjust, he said. A meta-analysis was needed, reviewing and analyzing the relevant scientific literature, cross-referencing the results to arrive at a finding based on a broader array of methodologies and subjects in this case, people that can be covered in a single study. For this research, a team led by USYD nutritionist Danielle McCartney referenced 80 separate studies into impairment from tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, the intoxicating compound in cannabis, performing the first meta-analysis of its kind. From those 80 papers, the team studied 1,534 performance outcomes from people who had taken cannabis. That is, how these people performed at driving or equivalent cognitive tasks at various stages after taking cannabis. How long the impairment lasted depended on three main factors: how strong the dose of THC was, whether the cannabis was inhaled or taken orally in the form of food, capsules, or drops, and whether the person was an occasional or regular user of cannabis. Our analysis indicates that impairment may last up to 10 hours if high doses of THC are consumed orally. A more typical duration of impairment, however, is 4 hours, when lower doses of THC are consumed via smoking or vaporization, and simpler tasks are undertaken, McCartney said. This impairment may extend up to 6 hours or 7 hours if higher doses of THC are inhaled and complex tasks, such as driving, are assessed. Interestingly, regular users of cannabis can build up a tolerance and perform better at cognitive tasks than occasional users after consuming the same amount. It's therefore not easy to predict how much cannabis is going to impair a regular user, for how long, since they may take higher doses to reach the same level of intoxication as an occasional user. We found that impairment is much more predictable in occasional cannabis users than regular cannabis users, explained USYD behavioral pharmacologist Thomas Arkell. Heavy users show significant tolerance to the effects of cannabis on driving and cognitive function, while typically displaying some impairment. The findings suggest that most driving-related skills could return within 5 hours after inhaling cannabis, although this time may vary. More research will need to be conducted into these time intervals for regular users in order to better characterize the effects of THC across the board. Once this is done, though, the information can guide legislation, the researchers said. Laws should be about safety on the roads, not arbitrary punishment, McGregor said. Given that cannabis is legal in an increasing number of jurisdictions, we need an evidence-based approach to drug driving laws. Logic. How about that?
But people don't think logically.
No, but
That's
that is
the
so
problem.
logical.
It's funny because we're in sales, both of us.
Yeah.
And you know what they tell you? Never give logic in your selling.
Yeah.
Only tell fluff, basically like bells and whistles. Like feelings. You sell people.
You sell feelings and the positive aspects and attributes.
Versus logic.
Right.
Because nobody wants to hear logic. My mentor told me that. JD, rest his soul. He goes, that's too logical.
They can figure that. Like they know that for themselves, right? Like they can figure that out. You're not hiding anything. It's
that's the problem. Most people don't figure that out.
Right.
They don't. But you're trying to give them a logical
reason
or an answer or something that actually is logical about what you're selling. Most of the time, it's just about feelings. Like most of the time, you're selling a feeling instead. You're selling a story that gives people a feeling,
right?
Versus the logical reason why you should.
No, I gotta use logic with my sales.
Sometimes
it's a house. You gotta be logical.
How'd that go?
It's a house.
You can tell we're from the South Side.
Yeah.
No, but it's a really good article though. And when I was reading it before I sent it over to you, I was like, wow. I mean, people kind of wonder, like how long is this going to last me if I smoke? Mm-hmm. It's like I'm wondering how long this Lady Buzz high is going to get me right now because it's pretty good.
Well, and for anyone who hasn't listened to us from like way back when, the reason, we smoke on the show because we're a cannabis show and we enjoy weed, but a lot of it too is we hope that like the newest listeners who tune in can recognize, like we talk about the strain we have, if we know what the effects are going to be, we talk about that. And then if we have like a dramatic effect from it, we usually talk about like how we're feeling from the strain. And then we go on to, deliver the show. And so it's to, again, help break the stigma and educate people that smoking weed isn't going to make me slump on the couch and sleep. I can still function. Yeah. Sometimes I stumble on my words because I'm high, or I space out and I forget that we're having a conversation.
Right.
You do stoner shit, but I can function. Like I'm all right. I'm here. I'm alive.
You're
I'm
all right,
well.
Spider.
I'm all good. And if I got too high in about a half hour, I'll be not too high.
Yeah, we'll be eating an edible after the show and smoking more before we go to bed.
I'll be smoking more pretty soon. Yeah.
So, I mean, we smoke weed because we enjoy it. I remember the first episode we ever did when I did with Paulie and Dov Boy and T and Shoddy, and we just went around the room asking, you smoke weed because? That was the line. And everybody who we invited, I remember my answer was back problems. That was just one point of the reason I smoked weed. Before I had back problems, I was smoking weed because I loved it and I enjoyed it, and it made me more socially like I was out and
comfortable.
Yeah. So I mean, besides that reason, but back injury, but also helped me go to relax and go to sleep. It's just nice. It makes everything better.
Well, we always say that we do use it medically, but we also use it recreationally.
Yeah.
There's a different approach, really, and we use it both.
Yeah.
I love to get frickin' baked, completely baked. It's
great.
super fun.
Yeah.
But I also like to be functional.
Yeah.
So there's a time and a place, and I like to have my ailments go away. And if weed helps with my pain and my sleep and my anxiety,
like you'll throw the 20 to 1 in the daytime, if you're not feeling right, but you're still working.
And sometimes I'll just hit the pen
right
here and there. Like if it's just a day, I've got a headache, whatever. Like I can't focus. Hit the pen, like nice little tap on the pen, and because it's right there. And then I don't feel I don't feel stoned, but I feel
you microdose it and get you back into the zone so you can concentrate because your mind goes.
Yeah, I got a lot of things going on.
You got a lot of ideas.
I have a lot of work too.
That's true. So, I mean, it does help out a lot. I mean, I enjoy the fuck out of it. So, but that's the reason why I always ask people that came on the show, you smoked weed because. Why do you smoke it? Why do you like it? I mean, but that's just, there's a reason why. Or just, I remember Mr. G came on and he goes, because I like it.
Good enough.
Good enough reason. Hey. Thanks, Mr. G. So, but it's interesting, though, to see, like, how long, like, most people don't even know, like, how long weed will last you.
Yeah.
For me, weed lasts me a good, like, if you and I smoke a joint or we smoke a bowl and, it probably lasts the high, like the from the time I smoke it to the peak to the level to the probably a good 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah,
I would say.
Like the intense high, probably about
30 minutes.
30 minutes to an hour, depending on the strain.
The rest of the high is about 3 hours, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, they only get 20, 30 minutes. Their tolerance, they have a high tolerance level.
That's some.
Yeah,
it depends on the strain.
Some people last 5 hours. That have a very low. I was talking to somebody the other day. I have a very low tolerance for everything. Liquor, I was a lightweight, shots, forget about it. 2 shots, I'm shot. I wasn't a very same thing with cannabis. People like, you only take a 10 milligram and it does. Yeah, I don't, and I smoke and eat every night, and I have been smoking weed since I was 13 years old. But I've always had a low tolerance for stuff. It's really weird. So I know people that can eat 1,000 milligram like it's nothing. I'm like, you're out your mind. I'd be crying, in the corner, in a ball, knowing it's going to end sometime. But probably for me, that'd be a 2-day fucking high, maybe 3. I mean, the same thing with you. I mean, but I think your tolerance has gotten up a little bit.
Mine has gone up.
Since you first started, like, consistently smoking weed every day. I could see your tolerance even in edibles. You could probably throw down a 20 like it's nothing now.
Yeah, but I also am using a CBG tincture.
You are.
And that, like, if I've taken that, late in the day, then it's like almost not impossible to get high, but it's very short-lived.
Right.
It's quick. So, yes, my tolerance has gone up, but I think it has to do with that.
Also because of the CBD, possibly. Yeah. It's interesting, though, like how long people's tolerances, like I said, I know people that have to smoke all day long.
Yeah.
Because their tolerance is so low or so high. you know. Sorry.
You're high. I hear you
I'm
shivering
high.
a little bit.
I'm a little high.
You got the little
I'm good.
shivers?
No, I'm
you
good.
good?
I'm perfect. So do you know how much a QP of weed is? Do you even know what a QP of weed is?
The 4 ounces.
Quarter pound, yep, 4 ounces. Quarter pound burger there. So,
So,
but I remember selling QP. Well, here's
$6 grand, $8 grand,
no,
10.
No, you're way off. A pound of weed.
A pound is probably $6
A
grand.
pound? Not anymore. A pound of weed, way off. So, wait, hold on. No, a pound of weed in the 90s of like real good hydro, that was going for at one time. I've seen it between 4,500 to 5,500.
Yeah.
That was 90, 93, 94 to about 98.
Okay.
And then I saw prices go to like 3,000 to 4,000. It was getting more of abundance because some states were starting to go medical, you know, in the 2000s. You know, California went medical in 96. You started seeing a little bit more because people weren't getting in so much trouble. There was an abundance, not an abundance, but you started seeing price drop just a little bit. And then for a while there, I just didn't buy pounds anymore, so I didn't really know what a pound was. But now a QP though was going for up here in the Midwest was going for about $1,800. 2,000 for. I'm talking about hydro. I'm talking about I'm not talking about brickweed. So, and now prices depend on what state you're in. Now I'm not talking about traditional market. I'm talking about like states like, let's just say Michigan. A pound of weed can go from 500 to 1,600 depending on the grower. Maybe to 2,000 depending on the grower. QP now you can get for $250 depending on who you're buying it from to maybe still $1,000. I don't know.
The $250 would be like a wholesale to a dispensary, or
No,
you're talking about the
talking
customer
I'm talking
in the
about traditional
dispensary.
market.
You're talking about traditional market. There's
market.
the difference.
Yeah. Dispensary weed in Illinois. Is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
The pricing, the pound per pricing.
If you bought a pound, it would be $6 grand.
Probably close enough.
5.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
I mean, an
5.
eighth here is on average is $50. An ounce of just say mediocre weed is $250 still. So you're talking that's $1,000 a QP for cultivation here in Illinois. So I'm not 100% accurate in all my pricing. This is stuff that I've read, stuff that I've seen, stuff that you equate when you go to a dispensary and what they're charging. So a QP to me is you can visit a dispensary for cannabis. You're presumably going to examine little estimations of weed. You see what an eighth price is. You hardly ever see grams anymore. I like a gram. Grams in Illinois are expensive. They're $20. I used to buy a gram here and there because I never wanted to buy an eighth because if I didn't like the weed, I didn't want to smoke an eighth of it.
Like a dime bag.
An eighth, yeah. An eighth is an eighth, but you talk about a gram, yes, a dime bag. But Illinois, they should be $10. In Illinois, they're 20.
Of course.
So this is called a 20 bag.
And also a dime bag was a long time ago.
Yeah, but still people buy dimes here and there, So all in all, how much is a QP of weed truly? On the chance that you have a QP of weed, you have a quarter pound of weed. That is 1/4 of a pound, and a pound is 16 ounces. And this way, you fundamentally have 4 ounces of weed if you have a QP, which emerges to be a little more than 113 grams. Okay? Where was I? We were somewhere, I'm not going to mention where, but they were selling ounces. Ounces were ranging at this event we went to anywhere between 200 to 400, depending on what you were buying and who you were buying it from. So it's making some good money. How much is a quarter pound of weed contrasted with a quarter? A fraction of weed is utilized concerning a quarter ounce of weed, which is around 7 grams. This is generally enough for around 7 dulls. In the case that you're shopping at a Canada dispensary and see what's named as a quarter offered to be purchased, you're taking a gander at a quarter ounce and certainly not a quarter pound. So remember that when you go across the border to the north. A QP is much more weed and is anything but a weed dispensary in California are lawfully permitted to sell. What does it resemble? It's really a weed. It's really a ton for some people. It's quite a bit, and it's a lot of weed for some people. You've seen what a QP looks like. You've seen actually what a pound looks like. So it's a lot of weed. For you and I to have a QP, that would last us a hot minute.
Yeah.
So for some people, though, different story. Some people, it's only going to last them maybe a month.
Right.
It depends on how much. I mean, I met a kid that smokes an ounce a day.
You just burn in all day long.
Phew. That's expensive.
I think there's people like that it's almost like a cigar. They just have one lit.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily puffing on it the entire time, but they've just got one going.
Yeah. But when you're smoking those big backwoods, you put a lot of weed in that shit.
Yeah.
So, so just think about it this way. Just get what you pay for at dispensaries, an eighth, a quarter, a penny, a cut, a squat. Individuals start using a wide range of dialect to allude of how much weed they're getting or the total amount they have. While the vast majority know a term or two, things will get somewhat strange when you're at a dispensary and you have no idea how to request, how much bud you truly care about. Sit back, relax, and just ask your bud tenders. Look online. You know, most people in Illinois that I see are buying eighths. Most people in Michigan now are buying ounces because you can buy ounces.
It's affordable.
You can buy ounces for $75 to $100 at dispensaries. Right. Is the weed great? It's probably good smokable weed. Let's just put it that way. It could be complete garbage. I have not bought an ounce from a Michigan dispensary, so I don't know. But it could be really good. And I heard if you're buying really good Michigan ounces, you're spending $250 to $300. But that's for like super duper. It probably could even go a little bit more, depending on the grower. So, excuse me. But yeah, so just, know your numbers, know what you're looking for, know what state you're going to where you can get more for your bang for your buck. A lot of people go east, a couple states over to get their weed. Save a lot of money. You ain't paying those Illinois taxes. Right. Some people have no choice though. They got to come from the north down. They got to come from the west in. Some people come from the border of the other Indiana in, So, I mean, they don't want to drive, I would drive an extra hour if I'm saving that kind of money. So, how do you do a detox?
All right. You want to know?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done a cannabis detox before. I've done like a day here in the last 5 years where I took one full day off or two. I've never done a detox though. Actually, no, I did.
You've done detox?
Yeah, I did. I have had to, but it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, probably 15 years.
Yeah, you brought like the hair kit back.
I bought the hair kit. The shampoo. I bought the pills.
Yeah.
I almost went and got the whizzer. And had someone pee in it. You know what the whizzer is? So
like a bag.
So basically, it's a bag you tie around your waist that stays like somewhat hot to keep your pee at the temperature you need. I know guys that work in unions that this is what they use. And you have somebody that will piss clean in there. You got like an hour to get to your piss test, and you just fucking piss it out and clean. You piss clean every time. It's called the whizzer. It's called the whizzer. Tell us about the detox.
All right, cannabis detox. We're talking about how to get THC out of your system. Whether you need a tolerance reset or you're looking for a holistic cleanse, maybe you need to pass a drug test, there are multiple reasons why you may want to engage in a cannabis detox. But when it comes to how long this process could take, there are a number of factors at play. There are plenty of THC detox products available, marketing themselves as fast-acting ways to rid your body of cannabis. However, these goods aren't regulated by the FDA, and there's no real science to back up their claims. The only guaranteed way to detox cannabis is to abstain. Having said that, it is possible to help your body process cannabis in a quick and efficient manner. If you're ready for a detox, this guide may be just the ticket. Cannabis can remain in the body for as little as a few days and as long as a few months. It depends on several different factors, including frequency of use, body mass, and metabolism rates, and methods of consumption. THC, the active compound in cannabis, is fat-soluble. This means the molecules get stored in fat deposits throughout the body. It also explains why THC is often infused in butter and other oils. It just sticks better to fat. People who smoke regularly or eat cannabis regularly and have slower metabolisms will need the most time for a full detox of THC. However, even infrequent cannabis users may have traces of THC in their systems long after they have consumed. For people who are subject to drug tests, this can be a major concern. There are several different types of drug screens, with some being more sensitive to THC than others. Urine testing is one of the most common forms of drug testing. It analyzes metabolites in urine for the presence of drugs. Depending on the test, THC may be detected anywhere from a few days to a month post-consumption. Blood tests are often used by law enforcement or the medical community. While analysis can vary, 2009 study showed that THC can be found in blood samples 6 days after use. Other tests may be positive even longer after consumption. Hair follicle drug tests are some of the most controversial, due in part to the fact that they can be some of the most inaccurate. THC may be present in hair up to 90 days after consumption. However, it's possible for secondhand smoke to result in a positive test. People subject to hair testing should steer clear of a sesh, so don't even go around weed. Mouth swabs are typically used to detect recent consumption. Some law enforcement agencies are even starting to try THC saliva tests during suspected cannabis DUI cases. However, whether they're accurately proving impairment is dicey. Tests can vary, but one study found people tested positive for cannabis 8 days after their last toke. There are many THC detox methods, ranging from natural body processes to drinks promising to cleanse the system. And while there are plenty of anecdotal reports of people purging the weed out quickly, the only foolproof way is time, and plenty of it. Getting cannabis out of your system isn't a fast process. It can take days and even weeks. Aside from abstaining completely from cannabis and avoiding secondhand smoke, here are some other steps that you can take to flush weed from your body. Regular exercise is one of the best ways to boost your metabolism and, by proxy, get THC out of your system. Not to mention the fact that cannabinoids are stored in fat cells. Theoretically, the fewer you have, the fewer places THC has to hide. Another great way to promote metabolism is through food. When you eat meals high in fat and sugar, it takes longer for your body to process toxins. Maintaining a healthy diet of vegetables, grains, and fruits is sure to get you closer to your detox goals. Hydration is one of the keys to overall health, especially during a detox process. Drink plenty of water, but don't feel the need to chug gallons a day. While staying hydrated helps, it's not going to flush your system completely. It's also possible to overdo it on water. Yes, you can actually overdose on water. THC detox drinks are marketed to people who need to pass a drug test fast. While the promise is never guaranteed, many anecdotal reviewers swear by this quick fix. These products typically contain a blend of herbal extracts thought to promote liver function, a key to detoxification processes. This often includes milk thistle, dandelion root, ginseng, cranberry, and turmeric. Vitamins and minerals such as B12 are typically added as well. There are several issues with THC detox products, even if users claim they work wonders. The main issue is the unregulated nature of the industry. You simply don't know for sure that the drinks are safe or effective. They may also lead to side effects such as stomach upset. Some may also produce irregular urine. Think radioactive green. Nice. Which may arouse suspicion from drug testers and could lead to automatic failure, especially if you're on probation. That's not to say that you can't create your own detoxifying beverages at home to help promote the flushing of THC from your system. Teas made with lemon juice, turmeric, ginger, and cayenne pepper can help promote liver function. A spoonful of apple cider vinegar is also a great help. But when it comes to THC detox kits bought online, buyer beware.
I take all
You
that.
take all that stuff
I
every day.
actually do take that.
You do.
I
I
make
know.
a tea, and it's made with lemon juice, turmeric, ginger, cayenne pepper, and actually about 12 other things in there also. But when you were reading that, and when I read it too, I'm like, I take that every day.
You got it all
should
covered.
actually take it every day. I feel wonderful.
Detoxing THC from your body can be inspired by many things. A much-needed tea break, an upcoming... Oh, didn't I just read that? Oh, yes. a much needed tea break, an upcoming drug test. We're just recapping. And health concerns are just a few. So just remember, it can be a long-term process. Months may pass before you are actually clear from cannabis. While cannabis is not considered to be addictive, heavy consumers may suffer from withdrawal symptoms like irritability in days after their last toke. However, these are mostly thought to be psychological and not physical symptoms. The cannabis detox journey takes time, and products that promise a quick fix may or may not provide the desired results. Lifestyle changes and abstinence are the best way to detox from THC. Just remember that if you light up again, your tolerance might not be where it was before.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Those nutrients I was talking about that I take it fresh. Well, I chop it all up and put it in the freezer, so it's freshly frozen. But if you can't get that stuff and you can buy the spices, the powders, buy I don't know, I wouldn't say it's almost, I've heard it's just as good.
Right.
So, try those spices. The ginger alone, the best digestion. I have no digestion issues.
And apple cider vinegar.
I take that too. Yeah, I mean, but no digestion issues at all. And I take ginger 5 days a week, freshly frozen ginger. I don't do it 7 days a week. You just need to.
Failure.
No, that's not. I know you are, but you know the
No,
reason.
I'm not.
You know the reason why. You don't need to take it 7 days a week, so it's in your system. So, but if you have digestion issues, or I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you it. I believe in a lot of Eastern medicine. Mrs. Weedman knows this. We practice a lot of Eastern medicine, and some of those herbs and natural spices is phenomenal. Besides the herb we smoke every day. So, Iowa, one of the worst medical cannabis programs in the United States. There's only 4 medical dispensaries, and it's like you can hardly get in. It's brutal. But anyway, you can buy so much hemp-derived THC drinks and edibles legal in Iowa, and everyone's asking how are they different from what's the thing you asked me again today? What's the difference between Delta 9? Yeah, and we went through it again. Yeah. But the THC market has been growing so fast, and especially in Iowa, in a lot of states, and here's the difference between the products. So a growing number of hemp-based products and places to buy them in Iowa over the last year says at least one thing about consumers. More and more, they're becoming A-OK with THC. So, but the United States continues to muddle through patchwork of state-by-state cannabis legalization. The emerging hemp-based market generating a new buzz has prompted confusion. Everybody's confused. From THC and CBD to Delta 8, Delta 9, it can be hard to discern legal products from illegal ones. This is why I was laughing, because you were in the kitchen when you were coming home from the grocery store. I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to be talking about it tonight. I should have gave you this article. So in Iowa, just like we've seen in a lot of other states, this is not just Iowa. It's just you're just seeing it more and more. A series from the Gazette that seeks to answer questions about the state, its culture, and the people who live there, about the enforcement of hemp-based THC products, manufacturers, and local brewers. So they're asking around. Hemp plants and marijuana plants are part of the same species. The main difference is the concentration of the tetrahydrocannabinol, the psychoactive element that gives users the high. Hemp has less than 0.3% THC by weight. Cannabis or marijuana, whether sold in states that have legalized it for recreational use or sold under Iowa's medical cannabis program, has more than 0.3% THC. Right? But that's the legal limit that was set by the federal government. There's hemp plants that have more THC in it, higher CBD, but bigger ratios.
Farmers are pushing for 1%.
Yeah. 0.3% is a joke, and it's hard. So to get that just exact 0.3%. So at least you have that buffer. Everybody likes a good buffer. I especially like a good buffer.
A good buffer. It's good for everybody.
So hemp legalized federally, in 2018. And there is now flavored drinks, seltzers, chocolate bars, caramels, candies, everything you see in a dispensary from the sativa plant, you're seeing come from the hemp plant now. So most drinks on the shelves today offer THC doses to 5 to 10 milligrams, because milligrams is not actually illegal by the federal government. It's percentage. That's why you're able to have the milligram doses you have coming from the THC hemp plant, because it's not illegal. So there's business development 101. Find what works, not loopholes. They found a business development, what worked.
Mm-hmm.
There's no law saying you can't do this.
Right.
So while hemp is limited by its THC concentration, there's no limit on the number of milligrams an individual product can be made with. There's our answer that we've been trying to find out for so long and talking about on so many different shows. Like, where's that business development? Milligram doses is not illegal. It's great. So you're seeing all these THC products growing in now Iowa a lot. And people are able to get their medicine instead of trying to get a med card, which is next to impossible too.
That's good.
I think it's great. How long will it stay legal? We shall see.
Yeah.
So New York regulators will issue dozens, actually 100 cannabis licenses finally. And they are being issued. And so finally, you get 100. They need to have like 1,200.
Yeah.
As many as you have in Oklahoma, and you don't need that many because there's only 400,000 patients. New York, there's just in New York City alone, there's 6 million people.
Yeah.
You could probably have 500 there, and it probably still wouldn't be enough. There's a lot of weed smokers, and it's just the city alone. So, in Florida, the state Senate members gave the green light on Thursday to bills that regulate hemp products statewide. Here it comes. Now, Florida is, you were just down there and you saw all the THC stuff. Well, the thing they're going to change is Florida moves to regulate THC content, ban Delta 8 products, right? So State Senator Colleen Burton, her bill is SB 1698. Restrictions on THC content, hemp-derived products sold in smoke shops across Florida. Sales of Delta 8 products are prohibited under the measure. And now Ralph,
So it's all right. They're shutting it down.
Writing this down. This is
Wow.
all being. This is all
It's
their
already
bills. They're all in motion.
Wow.
So House members approved HB 1269 at the same day. The measure seeks a way to pave for a potential ban on dispensary sales of adult-use cannabis flower containing more than 30% THC. So when it goes legal, because they think the vote's going to pass in November, so they're already getting ready. And
Yeah,
that
they're
bill
protecting that.
Right. So 30. You're not. So recreational is not going to get past 30%. So in this state, you can. People are buying 37%. So just on straight flower, that's not including like
Gummies. And
no infused pre-rolls and all that kind of stuff. I'm just talking just straight up THC. So that means that's just flower though. That's not concentrates. So no more than 30%. The legislation would also enforce an upper limit of 60% THC on other cannabis products, while edibles would be required to have a serving size of 10 milligrams of THC or below. So Maryland legislators proposed bill to secure schools from nearby marijuana dispensaries. South Dakota takes a stand against conflicts of interest in medical marijuana. Man, South Dakota, you went from going to be great to just like fucking it all up with all your laws and change everything. California tax authorities to auction seized cannabis assets over unpaid bills. Yeah, there's a lot of unpaid bills too in California, so there's going to be a lot of seizing going on. Georgia, $150 million class action lawsuit against a few companies that are selling hemp-derived cannabis products, but actually they're saying that it's basically coming from the cannabis plant and they're deceiving everybody. I'm not going to mention the two companies because just you can find the article yourself or go look up in Georgia who they're suing. So, but yeah, so they're saying it's a bait and switch.
So the legal cannabis businesses are suing the state. Delta 8.
No, the state.
Is
the state. And it's because they're doing the Delta 9 THC coming from hemp, but people are saying it's actually not. It's coming from the bait and switch. They're actually putting real THC from the marijuana sativa plant in there.
Right.
And they're just telling people it's coming from the hemp plant.
Sure.
And it just started going legal and more and more a little bit in Georgia. It's not fully there. You know, you got to buy it from pharmacies, but then the DA shut it down. So that whole fucking shit is all a mess too. So you're just bait and switch nothing. Just legalize it in Georgia. Oh my God, your tax revenue would be amazing. A Republican plan to legalize medical marijuana in Wisconsin is dead.
Yeah, so
shot
sad.
down.
So sad to
Didn't
hear
even
that.
get a blaze of glory. You know, just shot down.
Just done.
Done.
And it had like momentum.
For a hot, well, because they can't come across the table and make shit work. And how they wanted state-run cannabis shops.
Oh, geez.
State-run.
That's dumb.
So anyway, New Hampshire and national trends. New Hampshire's latest attempt to legalize cannabis reflecting ongoing legislative challenges and shifting perspective among lawmakers. Boo. What else here? What else is going on? South Carolina Senate votes to legalize medical cannabis. But their whole laws and everything are just terrible, and what they're trying to get is basically like, it's really bad. There's gonna be like no ailments, but like 5 to start. But it's something, right? I don't even want to say something's better than nothing, because it's terrible. It's just something. Marijuana decriminalization bill with bipartisan support introduced in Wyoming House. Cool. Be like Montana, sort of. They're doing pretty good. New Jersey weed businesses to rake in $1 billion this year, says regulators. We'll see. Nevada issues first license to a lounge in Las Vegas where cannabis can be consumed recreationally.
Wait, I thought there's already lounges open in Vegas.
Not
like a freestanding. There's no consumption.
No, this will be the first one.
I thought Planet 13 had one already.
They got the license.
Oh.
So they didn't open yet, though. Arizona eyes interstate cannabis commerce, awaits federal legalization move. They're ready, just like California, Oregon, and Washington. They're all waiting. They all got an excess amount of weed. They know where they're going. Mm-hmm. So, like I talked about in the prior episode, though, it's going to be up to the state to say they want it or how they're going to run it. Just because you got that weed and you want to go across state lines,
there's a lot to organize.
Yeah. So, this is big. New Hampshire House to vote Thursday on marijuana legalization. Come on, New Hampshire. After I just said a little bit, I saved this, though, because I want people to get excited who live in New Hampshire. This could happen. It could be big. So let's go, New Hampshire. And make sure that it's home grow. Lots of home grow. Because a lot of people live where there's no towns in New Hampshire. They live in the woods. Let them home grow. Can grow some great weed in those woods. So New York is okaying marijuana home grow. You can only have like 6 plants or 8 plants, but you can hold up to 5 pounds of weed.
That's so silly. That's dumb, right?
I want to hold 5 pounds of weed and not get in any trouble.
So they're saying like just the average consumer can have 5 pounds.
Average home grow, you can have 5 pounds.
But you can only have 5 plants.
6 plants or something like that. I don't even want to read it anymore. Because when I read 5 pounds, I was like, I want to hold 5 pounds in my house. Absolutely. Come over anytime. Oh, man. And not getting any trouble?
Right.
Good Lordy.
Just bricks.
We'd be having lots of fun over in this house. Oh, my cheeks hurt on that one. Federally funded research discovers 2 new methods of distinguishing hemp and marijuana to assist what, Ms. Weedman? Crime labs. You were a big Dexter fan.
Oh, I love Dexter.
You love Dexter. You love that crime scene murder. You like murder mysteries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is like right. That's why I gave you this article. I'm like, this is right up our alley.
Yep. Federally funded researchers have identified new methods of distinguishing between cannabis and hemp by detecting the exact amount of THC in flower and edibles. The National Institute of Justice, which is part of the Justice Department, is promoting the results of the 2 research projects it funded focused on cannabis lab testing, which it is now sharing with select law enforcement agencies. The aim of the initiatives was to streamline the testing process to help resolve crime lab backlogs that have increased since hemp containing up to 0.3% THC was federally legalized under the 2018 Farm Bill, complicating cannabis-related cases. Current testing methods aren't able to measure the exact amount of THC present in a sample, NIJ said in an update posted on Tuesday, but the researchers they funded have now discovered that they can isolate the THC content as well as other cannabinoids using 2 different types of mass spectrometry. The GC-MS method was developed by a team at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They were able to extract THC from a sample and apply the test to find the exact cannabinoid content. DOJ first announced in 2020 that it would be granting NIST $350,000 in funding for the research. The DART-HRMS tactic, meanwhile, could help to address another cannabis testing complication that's emerged in forensic labs. It allowed researchers to determine the amount of THC present in baked goods, candies, beverages, and plant materials with minimal pre-treatment steps. Rabbi Musa, the lead researcher with the DART HRMS team, anticipates that the increased speed of using this to detect THC in cannabis samples could reduce sample testing backlogs and chemical reagent costs and streamline sample analysis protocols, the NIJ said. The GCMS method has already led to the creation of new standard operating procedures for labs, and the results have been incorporated into training practices for the Montgomery County Police Department and Maryland State Police. U.S. Customs and Border Protection are also putting out a solicitation, or they did in 2022, seeking portable cannabis analyzers to quickly identify cannabinoid profiles and help distinguish between cannabis and hemp. The DEA separately announced in 2019 that it was seeking a device to provide specificity to distinguish.
That word always gets me too.
Specificity, yes, to distinguish between hemp and marijuana, since the former crop was legalized. The complications resulting from hemp legalization became especially apparent in Texas, where cannabis possession arrests fell almost 30% from 2018 to 19, following the state-level legalization of the non-intoxicating cannabis crop. Prosecutors in the state dismissed hundreds of low-level cannabis cases since hemp was legalized. And officials announced in 2020 that labs wouldn't be performing tests in misdemeanor cases, with the Department of Public Safety saying it will not have the capacity to accept those. Meanwhile, hemp industry stakeholders and agricultural officials across the U.S. are urging Congress to triple the THC limit for the crop to 1% by dry weight. A Justice Department researcher recently questioned the rationale for the current 0.3% THC limit, which she said seemed to be based arbitrarily on a decades-old anecdote.
Pretty good.
Yep.
You know, I know you like that crime lab stuff. International news. U.S. Virgin Islands pushes forward on stalled law allowing recreational marijuana use because they realize most of their tourism is from the United States and Canada, and they're arresting people for this when they should be like wanting. People are going to stop coming, basically. Right. So they're trying to get it fully legalized. They're good because then maybe I'll come visit. Russia arrests German man for carrying cannabis gummy bears. They even caught the gummy. Man, they catch people with the pens. The basketball
That's one
player.
Thing. Right.
But man, well, reading this, the fucking idiot though brought it in a bag that said THC on it.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. You need to listen to my show. You need to listen to we've taught like how to travel with weed, and especially edibles. It's not that hard to put gummy bears in a Haribo gummy bear package. And they were saying that it reeked like, then you're getting some terrible gummies. If you're telling me it reeked like weed and they caught you. No, they caught you because I see the bag on the article. It had a cannabis leaf on there and said 600 milligrams. Rookie fucking mistake.
That is a rookie mistake for sure.
Now you're gonna pay for it in a Russian jail because they're saying you can get up to like 7 years.
Oh my gosh!
For 600 milligrams of edible.
What country was he from?
Germany.
Wow.
Oh man, they'll make a trade. Thai government could face thousands of lawsuits over cannabis policy reversal. You know they're reversing it, right? It's only gonna be medical. So, but they don't realize how many businesses are in Thailand now. They're gonna bankroll the government. I mean, it'd be fucked. So just let it. Don't fuck it up. It's so good. I want to go to Thailand so bad. Philippine House of Representatives Joint Committee passes medical cannabis bill. Who would have thought? Because you got caught with weed, you get shot on the street. Remember that president? Now they're going to leave. There's 7,000 islands in the Philippines. Yes. And to go and live in the Philippines and be able to smoke weed, it costs like, they were saying to rent a place in the Philippines like $500 a month for like a beautiful, like full-blown condo with gym, pool, overlooking the beach. Meals are like $3. You feed yourself like nothing there, and you can make a living like doing your own work there too.
Yeah, you'd have to work remotely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Unless you got a couple $1 million in the bank, and then you just go there and you just live retired.
Well, okay.
2-3 mil, you'd be all right. So, but that'd be great if they medically legalize it there. It's gonna be amazing. Spain Health Ministry moves to regulate medical marijuana and more cannabis news across Europe. Czech Republic Hemp Group warns about intoxicating hemp products. Spain Ministry of Health will regulate medical marijuana. Man, can't wait. Just going back. We're going back. What was that market we went to?
In Spain?
Yeah. St. Andrews Market? Wasn't it the St. Andrews Market? Yeah, I think it was. We had delicious sangria and we ate delicious seafood and we ate the meat and oh my gosh. Amazing. European Union partially greenlights European Cannabis Initiative. Sweet. British Columbia allows promotion of outdoor cannabis consumption areas. Sweet. President Zelensky signs law on legalizing medical cannabis.
Wow.
Doing something with that $113 billion we sent over there.
Well, he's trying to save his country.
I know he is. I'm just kidding.
He really is.
I'm just kidding. But he feels that it's going to help people with PTSD and everything that's going on in this country. So that's good.
He's very human.
Yes.
I like him.
How old do you think I am in the marijuana world? How old do you think you are in the marijuana world? How old do you think like anybody is in the marijuana world these days?
Well, actually, I was thinking of this like on a this article talks about like that, right? I was thinking how much you kind of hear people challenging one another. Well, I've been around weed longer than you. They don't say that, but they're basically saying that. Like, well, I've been around it for 20 years. I've been around it since I was 5. I've been around it since I was 80. Whatever. Like, whatever they just want to claim their stake in the history of cannabis, which is super cool because people are really passionate about it. But there's so many of us, and so many of us were consumers, closeted consumers. It wasn't something that you talked about before. So people like to just tell their stories and tell their tales. And I think establishing that they've been around it for a long time is really just them saying like,
dun, dun,
yeah,
dun.
Yeah, well, like I've been here, I've done this. Like this isn't new.
Right.
It's just new the way it is now.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how old are you in the marijuana world? Age is revealed in a variety of ways, habits and language. So how old are you in the weed world? The internet is filled with memes and telltale signs of age giveaways. From watching TV, that's in quotes, watching TV, to Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, to calling someone on the phone to order a pizza. It pegs you into a certain age category. Well, the same is starting to be true in the world of weed. In reviewing the data from BDSA, a leading analytic firm that covers cannabis, there are hints of generational differences, and it's upending the industry. The habits of millennials, Gen Z, and Gen X have already changed food, magazines, communication, and careers, and now a change has arrived for weed. How many people consume cannabis is generally falling into 2 major age buckets. Not how many in numer, how many people like consume, how many of us consume. Does that make sense? I'm still pretty high.
It makes sense.
It's falling into 2 age buckets, and companies will be made or broken by these trends. The 45 plus crowd tends to smoke cannabis. They enjoy the smell of flower and the act of preparation, be it a joint, a bowl, or a bong, and the feel of the smoke. It's filled with nostalgia and tradition. For this crowd, edibles were usually homemade and also a little bit risky. You never knew how it would hit you, so getting stoned was often an adventure. The under 45 set looks for something which is an easy, on-the-go kind of lifestyle product. Vapes and edibles are easy to carry and can be slipped into a pocket or bag. Almost 90% of all edibles purchased are gummies. These forms provide a manageable high, they're discreet, and they don't smell. Also, through legalization, weed consumers can fully understand dosage and have the ability to microdose.
90%.
Yeah, crazy.
Whew.
Older users tend to talk about smoking, while younger ones talk about popping a gummy or taking a hit. Another interesting point, Gen Z is entering the age of cannabis use, and there is significantly less stigma to using it now, more so than even 20 years ago. They see it as a healthy alternative to drinking. Now, decreases in alcohol consumption by Gen Z coincide with an uptick in cannabis use, according to numerous reports. Is this a one-for-one trade in substances? Some signs point that way. Currently, flower is the most profitable product for dispensaries, and gummies are the least. This has a direct impact on production and sales. So it could be interesting to watch the industry as it continues to expand. Change is inevitable, even in the cannabis world.
You got a lot of volume of gummies to make some money in this country.
And I am very much on board with this article because we are just over 50, and most people our age and older that we come across that maybe don't consume regularly, when you offer them a gum and they're like, oh no, and then they're like, oh, I had a brownie one time. Everyone has that story. Everyone has that story of having a brownie or a cookie. They had too much. They ended up in a closet, like, totally paranoid. So yes, totally. And then the younger crowd, definitely, it's just so much more comfortable for them to be out in the public. Like most people our age and older, like when we've invited people to cannabis events, they're like, you like all go there and then you smoke and consume together. Like
that's your family.
Yeah, that's my family. No, there's a lot of people who are newer consumers who old, like our age and older, who just maybe do consume because they've learned to microdose with gummies, and they're 5 milligram gummy eaters or 10 milligram, and they're like, oh, like you go to these events, like you know what I mean. There is definitely like
I know what you're saying.
A different way of consuming and a different attitude towards it with the different age groups.
Yes, and it's cool to see that the Generation Zers and younger will never know, if they're in a state that's it's legal, they'll never know illegal weed, or they'll learn some history about it, but they'll be like, oh really? Well,
they won't understand.
Right.
They'll know.
They'll be like, oh, I prefer weed than anything else.
Yeah,
because that's.
Like they won't be concerned about what other people think when they use it.
Go to high school, or they're going to go to college, and there's somebody that's going to have a cartridge or a pen, and they'll be like, "Hey, you want some weed?" Yeah, and they're not pulling out a joint.
It'll be interesting.
They're pulling out a gummy, or they're pulling out a rosin pen, and going, "Oh, try this. This is your first time. Yep, hit it light." Kind of thing. Or
I wonder what kind of impact that will have on college, party life, in America. In legal states, in about 10 years.
Well, here,
because the kids now that are born, hang on, weed has been legal here recreationally since what year? 2020.
Yeah.
And so all these babies, all these COVID babies, when they go off to college. So in 20 years, they go off to college. They've only been around legal cannabis. They're raised where they don't know the difference, and I guess that would have to do with household, right, and the environment they're raised in. But let's just say the kids whose families are indifferent about it, the kids who would typically go off to college and engage in drinking. I wonder what that college experience is going to be like in, say, 20 years, and how different it'll be.
Well, yeah, I mean...
parties will be different.
Well, they're going to a party and there'll be an 8-gauge tray on the table with a bunch of weed around. No, seriously, with a bunch of weed around with probably 10 different strains that people bought, or pre-rolls, and there might even be, here in our studio, there's a weed bar.
Well, I know what that would look like. I'm just interested in seeing that happen.
I mean, I'm sure it already is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it already has happened in certain states. I'm sure there's college parties where it's just a weed party.
Yeah.
And I mean, I went to just weed parties back when I was younger. There was very little booze, and it was just weed, and it might have been psychedelics too, but no one was really drinking. It was more for that kind of a party. There was stuff like that back then. Back when I was 18, 19, 20, I was going to parties like that.
Yeah, but you're not following. I'm saying these are kids that are going to grow up
and not have to worry about it.
They don't know anything about it being illegal.
Yeah, I get it. 100%. Yeah. It's going to be
It'll be just so different.
It's more of a norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't get smashed and put my head through a fucking windshield, kind of thing.
I'm just interested in seeing what that's going to look like.
I went to a party and got really baked and ate a bunch of good food and chilled and watched some good movies. And that's what partying is going to be like.
And somehow, like there will be frat houses that are like weed frat houses.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sororities and things.
And you'll come there and it'll be out on the bar.
Right.
All the time.
Yeah.
So we like going on dates.
Dates.
Yeah, we go date nights every once in a while, right? We like it. And here's some stuff just to, I always, warmer weather's right now, and it's 60 today in Illinois in February. Can't beat it. I mean, I ain't complaining. Are you complaining?
No, I'm not complaining.
Hell no.
No.
But right now, we got spring coming up, and there's some stuff you can do. Picnics with a view, consumption-friendly meals. There's a bunch of dinners now you can go to. Consumption, infused meal dinners places now, which is great.
Again, not necessarily advertised to the public. You have to find them, but they're there.
I saw somebody today post this, and this was one of them. They were at an aquarium in the bathroom hitting their Puffco, whatever, but a marijuana at the museum. Kind of fun.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
If they did an adult night.
Oh, it'd be great. Canada infused carnivals, concerts. Paint nights. Yeah, we've seen those. Cannabis cocktail nights. We've seen that with art fairs and stuff like that, which are really fun. So that's just some suggestions if you're looking to do some things that involve cannabis on a date night and not even think about it instead of like, this is fun stuff to do on a date or go as friends or whatever. But I mean, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Just good.
Some fun ideas.
Yeah. All right. Before we end the show, I have to say one thing. Tennessee, how could you arrest Hootie in the Blowfish?
Well, yeah.
He has one of the famous one-hit songs of all time, right? I mean, he had other songs, but this song, everybody sung. Everybody had that CD in the 90s, and that song will always live on. It's a good song, right? But then he became what? A very famous country singer in Nashville, right? I get it. But he only had weed and mushrooms on him.
Well, here's the thing. It's a double-edged sword.
It's not like he had a gun.
I don't think he should have been arrested. But I don't think he shouldn't have been arrested because he's hooting the Blowfish. How about that? I don't think just because you're a celebrity that you get to bypass laws.
I 100%.
But I also think of that.
I'm just saying because it's Hootie and the Blowfish, and they're just
like when you be starstruck and be like, "Oh, sorry, dude."
I used to
just
listen
toss
to
that stuff in the garbage.
your song in the 90s.
Well, why did he have to carry his own stash? What's he doing driving around with that?
Who knows?
He doesn't have people for that. I'm sure he has like a personal assistant.
Probably.
Look at me. Plug it on. Make your assistant go to jail. That was a stupid comment. Sorry. What the fuck?
Ladybuds.
All right. At least he did it for himself then.
Right. But my thing is, whether it's Hootie the Blowfish or anybody in the state of Tennessee, I'm trying to get at that. You need to fix your shit, Tennessee, and get your laws straightened out and get it decriminalized. And if you don't want dispensaries, that's fine. If you don't want to sell it in your state, that's fine. But it should at least be decriminalized.
Yeah.
No one should be arrested in Tennessee. I've been to Nashville, and I've smoked weed in Nashville, and there's a lot of people that smoke weed in Nashville. I was walking up and down the streets, hitting my pen, smoking joints outside of certain bars.
Yeah.
No one said a fucking word. So I like Tennessee. I love Chattanooga. I like Nashville's great. What's that? There's that biscuit place too. The good biscuits right outside.
Outside of Nashville.
Oh god,
Love's Cafe.
Oh, biscuits and their marmalade. Oh gosh. Hold on.
That's good stuff. Mr. Weedman's got to take a hit.
So, I'm just saying, Tennessee, come on now, just decriminalize it. I saw your laws. I mean, you arrest people for an ounce for throw the book at them, give them 50 years for an ounce of weed. What are you doing? It's a class 1 felony. They murdered somebody. Yeah. Come on now. It's cannabis. There's people in Tennessee, man, that Rocky Mountain High is for a reason. Mm-hmm. They don't call it Rocky Mountain High for nothing, So, Hootie, I hope you get out.
Yeah.
I hope everything's all right. I'd also like to thank Ladybuds for No Name Strain. I don't know what I'm smoking, but it was some damn good weed, and it got me nice and ripped.
And the high
lasted the whole show.
Yeah, it did.
Hour and 20 minutes. By the time we're done, we're just smoking it again. Well done. I'm even looking at the camera and giving you
Thank you.
Thank you, Ladybuds. We appreciate you for throwing us this weed. Hopefully you like the joint I gave you too when we saw it at that party, Xochi's party. So, Ms. Weedman,
Mr. Weedman,
that's
want some more
the
weed?
end. I will. Yeah, sure.
There you go.
Go out in a bang. That's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Another week. Down.
Another week. Another day. Another dollar.
I know. Before we say goodbye, let Mrs. Weedman and I know if you want us to do 2 shows a week.
No, stepping it up, Mr.
I'd like
Weedman.
to do 2 shows.
You
I mean,
didn't even-
I do 2 shows.
Could
I do 2
could
shows.
we confer about this
Well,
first?
hold on. I do
Hold
2
on.
shows a week. It'd be 3 shows.
Right.
So what I'm asking is, though, Mrs. Weedman, let's see if anybody out there, and if we get 1,000 people that say they want us to do a second show, you and I will put maybe something together.
Okay.
We have to get 1,000 people to tell us yes.
Yeah.
So if you want
Okay.
around the world, if you want us to do a second show, bring some guests on, do a second show with just Mrs. Weedman and I. Then we got the Grow Hour. 1,000 people have to let us know, right?
Okay.
Or you think less?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how that's going to happen, but we'll make it work.
happen. Tuesdays, Thursdays.
Okay.
I don't know. I like doing the show with you. Makes me happy.
I know.
So,
Life is busy.
I know. So, hey, everybody out there in the world, we love you. Miss Weedman, you got anything else to say?
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Keep on listening. Keep on sharing. Keep on stomping the stigma of cannabis. It's good. Sharing is caring.
It is. Everybody out there in the world, we love you. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.